saying, well, what you've all been saying, to be honest, but just to add to that, I think we work planning universities because the role that we all have as work planners and as work plannees or whoever we are is so incredibly diverse. If you do work in a school, if you work in a primary school, certainly, for instance, I guess, I've never worked in a primary school, but I have friends who have, you're given a class and you know that you have to go in there at whatever time in the morning, you teach that class all day and then you go home at the end of it. It's quite straightforward. I'm a nurse and I spent many years working in the NHS. I would go onto a ward and I would do my shift for the day, I'd do what I had to do and I walked away. Nobody counted.
Take it home with you under your arm, can you?
Nobody counted how many bed baths I'd done, how many bedpans I'd emptied. Nobody did that. Maybe they should have done. But that's because, I guess, I'm just guessing, it's not quite so diverse. Whereas within a university, maybe somebody was counting, actually, I don't know. In a university, it is incredibly diverse.
Why
and
is it diverse?
Well, I suppose, if you think about our department, Paula, with all the people that we have in it, if we just said, right, this teaching needs to be done, which is why I agree with you, we could actually, we could oversee that, we could facilitate that by using the timetable. But then it's all the other things, isn't it? It's how we count and whether we actually need to count. And I suggest you may be right, maybe we don't need to count all the other things. But it would be ensuring that things like all the linkings takes place, we've got enough modular leaders in place, we've got course leaders in place, whoever they are. And I'm guessing, I'm not saying this is right, but I'm guessing that's why we have an academic work planning system.
Because some staff would just take it back.
If you go back to my clinical background, you know, whatever the diversity of the role of a physiotherapist, you could pretty much say that if you're a clinician, what you spend most of your day doing was treating patients. And, you know, somebody was the line manager, somebody, and somebody else might have been responsible for, I don't know, the waiting list or whatever else, but pretty much the bulk of your day was treating patients. In academia, we can all be on the same contract, but actually what we spend our day doing can look very, very different.
And which groups of students we're responsible for, and which dimensions of their experience
but
we're
some may be on,
responsible
somebody may
for.
be on the same contract as me, but actually do no teaching.
And I think that's the crux of the matter. The question is, do we need something like this to tell somebody that that's happening? And if it is happening, do they need that to reinforce that? And if it's not happening, do we need that to use as a stick to beat them? I'm not sure that we do. Because anybody who is a professional will come here, they will end the week being absolutely shattered, having taught X number of hours, done whatever student meetings they had to do, and they know that they will work. But there's always a small percentage of people that...
But it's
But then it's
more than
about
that.
managing those people.
For moving up, you know, into an administrative role that brings you either an SL or a PL. So that's why the responsibilities are contentious and have to be assigned and seen to be assigned fairly because of how our promotional structure works. We're not promoted because we've written and can demonstrate, you know, publication.
No, you're right.
There isn't a rolling recruitment promotion panel that you can put an application to and say, I've just written 6 papers, I'm ready for the next, you know, step up in. So that's why I think.
I would agree with you, and I think that goes back to a management system. You know, we have, I think personally, an appalling management system here, in that we do bean count, we do want people to be in classrooms and be with students and do it, which is quite right, but then we also constrain them from moving forward in any way, because we say, well, now you've got this responsibility, now you've got that, now you've got the other, because of who you are and where you sit on the hierarchy or the ladder. And that's got to be addressed before we sort of can move this forward.
And I would add to that as well. You talk about sort of the promotional system, and I think if my team was sitting here now, they'd kind of fall off their chairs laughing, because there isn't one. So most of the health service, and certainly all the physio academics, came in at the time that they came in were pay matched. We don't so much anymore, but we did, and we because we don't anymore, we now can't recruit anybody because no one wants to take the pay drop. So they were pay matched, so they all came in at SL, whether they'd had one lecture or no lectures. So they all came in at SL. I've got a staff group of something like 28 staff. I'm the only PL in the whole of it. My team leaders are all still SLs, even though they line manage. So my staff would say to you, there's no such thing as a promotional thing. So if I didn't have work planning, I wouldn't blame any of them for saying, well, I'm not going to be a course leader, why would I want to do that? I don't want to be your assessment lead. I don't want to. They do it because they are professional and because they love what they do and because they take on new challenges. They do it because of the type of people they are, not because she gives them anything for doing it.
It's the same with the area for getting through. What are we getting? Some letters.
Oh, we'll get better NSS.
Yeah.
Well, some universities you do get additional payments for being course leaders, and you can apply for the next grade up if you yeah, and the next grade up if you're ready for it.
You can.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can move from lecturer to SL.
You can.
But at
No,
the
from
same
an SL to
The member of staff, and they said, why do we do work planning? Why are you work planning with me? What would you or do you say?
You're not doing bed baths. That's what I'd say.
I follow the party line.
Yeah,
I'm
give
afraid it
universities
is
top
to
answer.
try and maintain equity
Yeah.
amongst the
yeah,
staff.
agree with all
So
of-
equity,
Yeah.
But it's a lie, and I have my fingers crossed behind my back.
And all those modules you really hate.
4 weeks later, I've made the changes. Who are you? I say, because they think you only ever see them. So I don't
You're
think
right.
they've got any understanding.
I think it's
at
a
all.
plan.
And once I got over that, I
it wasn't just me then.
it just seemed very easy to input directly onto the database. So I didn't do anything like input into spreadsheet first and then transfer into the database. Just input directly onto the database. It became harder as the database became more corrupt, and it became more inaccurate. And as far as and now this year, I don't know about everyone else, but we've been told, well, we've had special spreadsheets that have been produced for us. I just took delivery of mine about 3 days ago.
Who produced it for you?
Becky Oldfield
Oh, okay.
and John Reedy, and
I missed that.
I'd rather use the database, to be honest. I know it's a question of getting used to something, but it's clunky, and I really wish the university had inputted and supported, resourced getting the database more accurate and better and more functional. Absolutely cleaned up. It became dirty, really dirty.
And it still is actually.
Yeah.
I use the database directly because we don't have a spreadsheet. I'm looking around
We
thinking, do we
Well,
have one?
No, we've got a
Don't
choice
know.
whether we want it to or not.
We're not
We
allowed
have
to
the
then.
thing
We have
sitting
to
behind.
use
A couple of years ago now, I'd actually got him down for 50 hours of teaching on renovating antique furnishing. And that's because... Really? And it's because there are so many modules that come up and there are so many different codes that it's so
Different
easy to make
occurrences, all
a
sorts of
slip.
stuff.
And,
Oh, I hate
you know, hey presto, there you go, teach antique. He quite liked the idea actually, it turns out. So it's fine. But no, I would agree entirely. It is so difficult to use.
I agree with you as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I got the choice. Did I want to stay with the database? Did I want to get a spreadsheet? I took the easy route of it. I can't even bear the thought of changing, so I just stay with the database. But I absolutely hate it. Now, we had a discussion this morning quite strangely. So I'm not particularly. I'm not a good completer finisher. I'm not a good crosser of the T's or a process person. For me, the whole bit that I enjoy of work planning is about the engagement with staff,
Yeah,
getting the planning and
absolutely.
everything. But I have a team leader who is Mrs. Detail. She is process to the nth degree, who was delighted when I arranged that she could have permissions to input and everything on the database because she couldn't understand why I hated it so much, and she was going to sort it for me. And within 2 hours, she said, "I'm never going near it again." She said it's a nightmare. She
But it's
can't
not
even
just the
begin to
database,
understand
it's the tables that sit within
Oh.
the database, like the module table. I mean, again, I don't
the
often
module
know what the
table.
modules are called, because whatever. And they change the names and things. And as you say, some of them are very long, and you have to type in the first few words to get something up. And then you, like with we were talking about this earlier, like with dissertation. There's millions of dissertation with codes, and I'm thinking, well, I'll have that one. I don't know what it is. Why not? It's a
That's
nice
exactly
short
what's happening, but
word.
then it means the data is corrupt.
Exactly.
Yeah, immediately
Exactly.
the data is corrupt.
Exactly.
And if you've got that one where so if you've got more than about 6 people on a module, but by the time you get to number 7, each time you clicked, because you have to press F9, don't you, to make sure you've saved it, because it doesn't do it on its own, it goes back to the top again.
Yes.
And you have to scroll all the way down.
It never used to do that.
No.
That fault arrived about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when it first
Yeah.
started happening. Yeah.
And if you're deleting a module from somebody's AWP, you've got to really make sure it stays there when you get to the delete button, because
Yeah.
it could back up again and you've deleted the wrong bit.
Yep.
You think, oh.
I know it's as good as it can be. Then I enter it in, but that's it, finished. I never touch the database again. That it's like a task. I have. It's like pulling teeth. It's like marking. I have to
So
sit
the
down.
tool has become the job.
Oh no, you see, I just have to have that one burst, and I put everything in as, like you say, it's perfect when you enter it, and then I walk away and the task's done.
Yeah.
But that's pointless in a way.
How much
Well-
of our time would you say is spent doing work planning? I mean, is yours a